Hi Forbid, nice to see you.
Hi,
How you doing?
James.
You alright?
I'm good.
Super. So, can you summarise your life so far in 30 seconds?
Oh, are we on the clock?
Yes.
Right. From birth.
From birth, yeah.
From birth, right. Born in 96, 29th of January. Mum and dad split up when I was about 1. Lived with my mum through the week, went to school, saw my dad on the weekends. Then when I was about 16, went to live with my dad full time to go to college to do film. Realised I didn't like film and I liked making music. So I was like, right, after college, I was like, let's go to uni and do music production. Hated that because I hated being forced to be creative. So I dropped out of uni when I was about 21 and then took on music production full time, got my first residency, which sprung into a lot more residencies, and then started taking music production more seriously, and here we are, 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
Smashing. Nice one. Yeah, it's always good to highlight the main things that happened in that amount of time, so that's really good.
Yeah, it is quite like a quick summary of that.
Definitely.
There's a lot of stuff that's been going on.
Absolutely.
Can I swear on this?
Yes.
Great.
You can. I
Brilliant.
I was like, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so good.
You'll get the unfiltered Forbid now.
Look, that's what I want.
You won't get radio Forbid.
Super. So you mentioned obviously you did music production, you studied it. What was it that you didn't like about studying it?
I think there was a lot of other factors that I didn't like about uni. I didn't really like being forced to be creative. I would make music that I thought was great, and my friends were great, and they would be like, "Yeah, we're not liking this. This is not what the brief is for." So I was like,
Yeah.
"All right then, piss off." But when I moved back to Leeds to go to university, and I couldn't get into student accommodation because it was full and it was too expensive. So I went to live with my grandma, who lived on the outskirts of Leeds. And she was getting on and disabled, and she needed help. So a lot of my energy was spent helping her, which I'm grateful for. God rest her soul.
Yeah.
Because she let me live there. But I was away from everyone. I didn't really have a lot of uni friends. I was pretty lonely in Leeds, and that was the main factor. I was just really down, and I was just kind of like, this is not what I want to be doing. And I just thought one day, I was like, this was I would have said about 6 or 7 months into my course, and I was like, you need to decide now if you want to stay on or leave. So I spoke to my dad and my stepmom about it, and they were really supportive. They were like, listen, you've tried it, and if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. There's no point getting yourself into more debt and more misery just because you don't want to do it. So I spoke to my lecturers, and I was like, I've decided I want to leave, and they were really trying to convince me to stay, and I was like, my mind's made up, I want to leave. And I think leaving uni was probably one of the best things I did, because I feel like if I'd have stayed there, I would have just been miserable.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think sometimes I feel quite what's the word? I can't think of the word. I'm quite happy that I made that decision to make the jump and leave, because I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
To you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that must have been hard at that time, thinking, how much of an impact has that had, and talking with your family about it. What were they like? Were they really supportive?
They were supportive. I mean, I thought initially that they were going to be because my stepmom always said it was one of her dreams for me to go to university.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I was like, I don't want to be in university, and I was just apprehensive to tell them and waiting for them to be like, you need to stay in this. But they were just darling, if you don't want to do this, don't do it. You don't need to convince us. They wanted me to follow my dreams, and yeah. So they could not be more supportive, really.
That's good. Nice. Wow. So obviously you started with music production first, and then you went into DJing. How did that transition happen?
So I first started making music when I was maybe 15, 16, just messing around.
Yeah.
Because I just started listening to more electronic music at that point in my life, and I was like, oh, I realised you can actually make this on a computer.
Yeah.
So I started messing around with it. And then I was living in Hull from 2000 I would have said about 2018 to 2020 I was living in Hull, but prior to that I was in a relationship with someone from Hull.
Right.
And he used to work at one of the clubs in Hull, one of the gay bars, and he essentially helped me get a residency there, which was my first residency. And I played this one set. It was like a guest slot, and then it was on a Wednesday night, which was like their big student night.
Yeah.
And after I finished the set, they were like, "We want you back every week, every Friday." And I was like, "What? You want to pay me?" And they were like, "Yeah, of course." I was like, "Wow." So that's pretty much how it stemmed into it. I was just kind of like making music off the bat just as a separate thing, and then DJing came separately, and then they just kind of mashed together down the line.
So talk to me about your first ever DJ set. How are you feeling? Were you used to that sort of playing with, obviously, the equipment beforehand?
First ever DJ set, like proper one.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't even remember when it was. One of my earliest DJ sets I remember was actually in Belgium, because I put out a free download song years and years ago called "Get You Alone."
Yeah.
And it got like a few million views on YouTube on the selected channel.
Million?
Yeah.
Wow.
This was like the first big one for me, which is so weird because I made that song like sat on my grandma's bed in Leeds in about 5 hours, and I sent it to this channel and I was like, "Do you like this?" And they were like, "Yeah, we love this." I did not expect it to blow up that much. But a promoter from Belgium got in contact with me, and he was like, "We want to book you to come play out in Belgium," but they were like, "We can't afford to pay you." And I was like, "Pay my travel, pay my hotel, that's fine. I don't care about the fee."
Yeah.
And I remember going into that set like stressing and planning it, like, "Oh my God, this is," because it was like Belgium. It's like an international gig. For one of my first gigs, it was crazy. And it was really fun. But I remember looking back on it now, I was like, "You did not do a good job there." Like, because
in terms of what?
CDJs, you've seen CDJs, I think like when you first look at them, it's like looking at a flight deck. It's like, this is the most intimidating thing ever. Like, what does this button do? Now it's just like pouring a glass of water for me. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just such second nature. But at the time I was like reluctant to press play, reluctant to press Q. And I was like, if I mess this up, yeah. And then some of the song selections that I had, looking back, I was like, you went into this gig that was like a relatively chilled house gig, going like full night bass house.
Wow.
Yeah.
But were the people reacting well?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, right.
I think I remember looking out at the crowd and being like, "I'm killing it." And then they were like, "Yeah, this is good." They were just not feeling it. But like in the moment, I'm glad I did it, because like without those kind of like failures and bad sets, you can't have your good sets. You never learn anything. So it's all part of the plot. It's part of the plot.
Yeah, that's true. So you mentioned obviously how you saw the DJ decks and you're like, okay, what am I doing here? Did you know how to DJ before that on like even smaller decks? Yeah.
My dad for Christmas, I don't know what year it was, maybe like 2017, 2016, somewhere around that time. He got me like a small like Hercules decks. And if you've ever seen the Hercules, they're like, yeah, they're like these little
super small, aren't they?
Super small, super compact, super basic. So I learned how to like do the basics on that, but then moving from that to like CDJs is like, it's a bit much.
Wow, that's mad. So anyone who's trying to like get their first DJ gig, what would your advice be to them?
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Networking.
Go to the clubs that you want to DJ at. Go and spend time and get pissed in the clubs that you want to DJ at. Listen to the music they want to play, so the music that they're playing, and then cater like a DJ mix to send in to that music, because you can't just make a mix that's like an hour of tech house and send it to like Pop World. Do you know what I mean? True. It's not going to work. Like the club that I got my first residency at in Hull, I'd spent like a lot of nights out there, so I already knew what they wanted, kind of, or I assumed I did, but obviously they liked what I was doing. And then the same for my other residencies as well. Like I'd been on nights out to the clubs. So that would be my best advice, just to do your market research and network. And don't be afraid to go up to like the managers and be like, "Hi, I'm so and so. Can I give you this mix?" Because 100% of the time they'll be like, "Yeah, of course."
That's a brave thing to do, though, isn't it? Really.
I remember being in Tunnel in Leeds, which was one of our first residencies as well. And the manager Dale, I knew of him, and I was on a night out with my friend Gemma, and I remember seeing Dale at the bar, and I was like, "Should I go say something?" She was like, "Just do it." So I was like, "Dale," and he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, introduced myself, but I was so nervous. And I was like, "I want to DJ here. Can I send you a mix?" He was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Get it sent." And then he got me a trial set there, and then I got the residency there. So
that's mad.
You have to take the jump and be brave. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I think that stands out more if someone comes up to you as a manager and is like, "Hi, I'm this person." listen to this. It's more impressive, I think. It puts
Shows
an
that
impression on.
Yeah, shows that you're committed to doing, like, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely,
That's
100%.
mad. Okay, wow. And how did that feel after your first set?
What, tunnel or in the first one?
Like, the first ever one that you did. Like, how did it feel after you did that? Considering you're so nervous to do it in the first place.
It was really fun. It was really, really fun. But I was like, I think I was about 18 or 19 when I did that set.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was like my first time traveling alone. So I'd gone from like living in Leeds Bedford Airport to Belgium to this hotel to play in a set, back to the hotel. And I remember ringing my boyfriend at the time, being like, I'm really, like, I feel really scared and I'm alone. And he was like, you're fine, like, they've booked you to do this, you're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be like really, really fun.
That's mad.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It was a good set as well. I remember I didn't realise they had like production on the set, so they had like pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
And these pyrotechnics went off during my set and they were really close to the booth.
Yeah.
I remember them going off on this drop and I was like, it scorched my entire face. I was like, my eyebrows just fucking come off. It was crazy.
My God, that's mad. So, talk to me about the remixes that you've done, because obviously I find it personally really hard to put a remix on SoundCloud and it not getting taken down. I've already got like 2 points against it.
I don't know how mine have stayed up. I really don't. Like, I made this edit recently and I put it onto my SoundCloud for private just to show my friends, and it got taken down like that. But then some of them, like, I did my Nicki Minaj Super Freaky Girl remix.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is a huge song.
Yeah.
It stayed up. It's fine. And you'd think that like a huge song like that would get taken down like that, and it's like it's still up. So someone's watching out for me.
Yeah.
It's weird, but SoundCloud are like so like meticulous, aren't they, with taking stuff down?
True.
It's really hard to get things to keep up, because I see people will like put their remix up, but then put like a cappella filtered so that they don't like get copyright strike, which is clever. Yeah. But it is weird. It's very cutthroat in SoundCloud.
Definitely, it's mad. So in terms of producing your own tracks, what do you prefer? Do you prefer remixing or making your own tracks from scratch?
Subjective, I think.
Okay.
Like, remixing is fun because you've already got like the acapella and the vocals there, or like stems to work with. Yeah. And I love remixing because it's putting my own version of what I would turn that song into. Yeah. But then originals are always fun as well, because it's like you have such a blank canvas. Yeah. Which can also be quite intimidating, because you've got a blank canvas and you're like, what do I start with? Yeah. Where do I start here? And that's most of the process, like for originals. For right now, for me, like I'll start with like an empty project and I'm like, okay, where's this gonna go? Yeah. So it's just messing around with the sounds, and I mean, like 90% of my projects sound like they've come out of like the bin, and then it's like the 10% that I'm like, oh wait, that's a good idea. I'll stick with that. But I think that's a process for like every producer. True, I know. And there's also a thing like I found when I'm producing, you've got so many like opportunities, so many different things you can use. You get like, there's a phrase for it or something where... Option paralysis. Yes, that's it. Oh, analysis paralysis or something. Yeah. Do you get that a lot, or how do you work around it? 100%. Like, my mentors I recently went to see them in Bath, and we were just hanging out, and they were sending me all these plugins and stuff. They were like, do you have this? I'm like, nope. And they're like, Brandon, get this. So they'd like hounding me to download all these plugins. But then I've got all these plugins and I'm like, I don't know which one to use. Yeah. Because I'm so used to like, I'm quite bad because I'm so used to using like stock plugins that I know my stock plugins in and out, so I know how to use them. Right. Does that make sense? Yeah, I suppose that's a better thing than having a lot of plugins that you don't know how to use, isn't it, I suppose? Yeah, but then the good thing is that they do have a point. Like these plugins that they're sending me are like unbelievable. Like I'm using them, I'm like, why have I not started using these before? Like they sent me a plugin for like adding tape warmth to sounds, and I put it on some of my drums, and instantly they were 100. And I messaged them like, how have I not used this sooner? I'm such an idiot. Is that like tape saturation? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Like it's like to add like warmth and things. Yeah, and as soon as you discovered it, you're like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, why have I not used this sooner? Yeah. I'm such an idiot for not using this sooner. That's mad. And do you like save your samples? If you get like a good kick, do you save it and use it on different projects? Oh my god, yeah. I used to not do that because I didn't want all my songs to sound the same, but it was something that Who actually drilled into me. They were like, if you find a good kick, use it. And I was like, for all of them, they were like, yes, seriously, just if it's a good kick, just use it. Just because I think, especially in house music,
Yeah.
most important elements are your kick and your bass line.
True.
You mean there's some house songs that are like literally just a kick and a bass line for 8 minutes, and they're perfect.
Yeah.
They're great. So they're the two most like important essential elements, I think,
Yeah.
in house. So yeah, I've got my forbid useful samples folder, which is for like kicks and hats and like synths and stuff that I use in pretty much every song.
My God. Okay. And when it comes to releasing, talk me through your process of releasing. Do you do you do it yourself or do you look for a label?
I used to do a lot of independent releases in the past, but there's only so far you can get with like independent releases, which I suppose TikTok helps with now because you can put a song on TikTok that's independent and like
can go viral, can't it?
Yeah. But normally I will make a bunch of songs. At the moment, the process is like make a bunch of demos and then send it to my management, see which of those they like the best, which is always disheartening because I can make like 6 or 7 demos and I'm like 1, 3, and 4 are my favorites, and they're like, yeah, 1, 3, and 4 suck. Number 5 is great.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. But
Jesus.
it's nice to have like that feedback because I know that their feedback is genuine, and you know they're the ones with like a Grammy nomination, so I'm like their opinion is like solid advice. But yeah, normally once we've settled on demos that we want to put out, we'll send it to labels that we think are ideal, see what they say, and then if they say yes, put it out on the label. And then if not, we'll bank it and then I'll send it to another label or just put it in the unreleased archive.
Okay. And you say we a lot there. Have you got a team around you? Is it just yourself?
I signed with my management. I think it was early 2021. George Powell. So the way it works is George is my manager. And then he also manages Who and Bad Intentions.
Right.
But Who also work as like my production mentors. Like they give me a lot of advice and stuff, which I'm really grateful for because I've kind of felt like in a lot of recent years I haven't really had like a producer community, and I think it's always important for any kind of like creatives to have friends who do the same kind of creative work as you do. Because you can all like bounce ideas off each other, and you know you're a product of your environment, aren't you? Really.
True.
So it's nice to have their like input. But yeah, that's the team.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. Because a lot of people obviously are starting from scratch, but some might be tempted to go into management or to get help from external sources quickly, like a social media manager or something. Would you recommend that, or what would you recommend doing by yourself versus getting help with?
Oh, I mean, the industry's changed so much. Like nowadays, you have to be everything yourself. You have to be like your own social media manager, producer, mixer, masterer, graphic designer. You have to be your own booking agent. And you know, back in the day, like all you had to do was make records, and they had people doing this for you. But I would say the more that you can do yourself, the better, because it looks better. Like for years I've done everything myself, so like I've sourced like friends who do graphic design, friends who can help me with mixing and mastering, except this, that and the third, but it's always good to do it independently so you're not reliant on anyone.
Right. Okay. You mentioned mixing and mastering. That's a very hard skill to get right, isn't it?
I've only just like I mean mixing, I think I'm like 90% there, but I've only like in the past year or 2 started mastering my own stuff, and I'm happy that I have, because like I used to spending so much on mastering. That's like sending like demos that would never come out to like mastering for like 50 quid a piece, which is cheap mastering. But like I'm happy that I've done it now, because I can finish a song and be like mastered, put it in the folders, put it in the bank, it's done.
How did you learn that?
Just literally through watching tutorials.
What, on YouTube?
Yeah, which I think is the best way to learn producing. Just watch tutorials.
Wow.
I feel like if people go to like big production classes where it's like school of production or something like that, I feel like there isn't a lot of room for individuality there, because people are telling you how to do this, how to do that, and this is the way you should do this.
Right.
When I think music and art is about like knowing the rules so you can break them.
True.
You know what I mean?
Boundaries of different, create your own genre, for example.
Absolutely. Every kind of creative scene needs individuality.
Okay. And when it comes to, you mentioned getting feedback from record labels, how important is that to you? And is it too late to get feedback after you've done it all and mastered it and sent it to them?
No, because I feel like now that I've got now that I can do my mastering, like I just save the project. So like if they say change this, I can just change it and then load it back into the mastering projects, and it's done.
Right.
But label feedback is good. Like I think you have to get used to hearing the word no.
Yeah.
Because I remember my song Pose Position.
Yeah.
That was supposed to come out on Axtone.
Yeah.
Which I was like, this is going to be amazing. Like, but then this was around the time that Swedish House Mafia were preparing for Coachella.
Okay.
So I think it was Axel's manager was like, yeah, we want Pose Position on, but we're really busy at the moment with like sorting SHM for Coachella.
Yeah.
So we were like, right, okay, that's fine, we can wait. But we ended up waiting like 4 months, and I was like, I really want to put Pose Position out because I feel like it's a real reflection of me, my sound. It's very pumping, it's housey, it's gay. Yeah. And I was like, I want to get that out for Forbid. Yeah. So I spoke to management, and I was like, listen, I know it would be a great label to release on, but they are taking too long. So let's look at other alternatives. And we sent it to House Trap.
Okay.
And the same day they were like, yeah, we want to sign it. And I was like, oh, now that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, Dead Mouse's record label.
Yeah, that's right. His little house sub label.
That's
was
insane.
Good. Yeah.
Jesus.
It was that wasn't like in the same day as well. They were like, yeah, we want to get it on. I was like, oh, brilliant.
And you've also released on Night Base, well, haven't you?
Yeah, literally, I've been wanting to do Night Base for like, God. Because Night Base has been going around for years.
Yeah.
It started in, I think, like 2014, and I've probably been wanting to release on it since 2014.
Yeah.
Because all the old releases from like Chris Lorenzo and Taiki New Light, I've wanted to put on that for ages. So it's taken me 8 years, but like we're on it.
How was that when you found out you were going to release on that?
Unbelievable. Because I remember I made Bumper Clock.
Yeah.
And I sent that to the label, and AC Slater was like, this is sick, I want to put it on the label. And I was like, oh my God. And that was part of the freshman compilation, which was so nice because Night Base are honestly hands down one of the best labels I've worked with. They're so like attentive to the artist. Like they'll say like, you want to do a TikTok live, you can do it. You want to do a Spotify playlist takeover, you can do it. You can do what you want, and they're so on it with everything. So then when we released Bumper Clock, I was like, I'm buzzing with that. But then I just finished Masochism.
Yeah.
And I sent it to AC, and I was like, what do you think of this? And he was like, I'm going to play it in my sets this weekend. Sounds good. I was like, all right, cool. And then he hit me back about 2 weeks later saying, do you want to put this out on Night Base?
Yeah.
And I was like, are you joking? Are you kidding me? Yes, I do. Of course.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So that was such a buzz, because like to have Bump a Clock as part of the compilation was great.
Yeah.
But then to have Masochism as like just a single that was Forbid, I was like, I'm there. That was like, oh, you must be doing some bits right, Brandon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's mad.
It was good.
So when it comes to like label releases, how do you measure success for yourself?
It's a weird question. Like, I was speaking to my friends about this recently, actually. Like, I feel like if I went back to like the Brandon that was in university in Leeds that wanted to drop out and then showed him a glimpse of what I'm doing now, he'd probably be like, you're killing it. But then to me right now, because I'm living it every day, it just feels like normal, and it doesn't feel like anything has changed. Does that make sense?
Is it because it's such a slow rate of progression? It feels
it is quite a slow rate. And I mean, there are some artists that blow up after one song, like a Craze, Do It To It. It's one song like and he's shot right up. But then there's other journeys that take years and years and years. But I like that it's taken me quite a long stretch of time. I would say, well, coming on like 9-10 years now, I'd say. But I like the journey because it lets me kind of like, I feel like if, let's say I put out a song in 2016 and it blew up, I don't think I would have known how to handle myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like, maybe still not, I don't even know how to handle myself now, but like because it's been so slow, it's been baby steps. Okay. I've had a long time to like get
adjust to it.
Yeah, pardon me, like get adjusted to the baby steps, and I'm like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, interesting that, yeah. Cause you hear like obviously Avicii had Levels and he shot up, didn't he?
Yeah.
Martin Garrix had Animals and a few other tracks, and he shot up in like 2013, 2014, didn't he?
Yeah. And
it's like, you wonder what happens, like, you'd have to change mentally from what you used to the destination, wouldn't you?
The industry's so taxing, like I think a lot of people get into it and they want to do it because they see like these big DJs like touring and doing these huge shows, and
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize how like tiring that can be, because a lot of these artists, when they're doing these tours, they're on the road by themselves, they're meeting up with people in different cities, you know, so it's like you'll travel like what, 8 to 12 hours to play a show, to play a 1 hour show.
Yeah.
Then it's like straight back to the hotel, sleep, wake up, another 12-hour flight, wherever it is, 1 hour show, and then it's a very like taxing process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you experienced a lot of that yourself?
No, yet to. No, I wanna. I do wanna, but not yet. I'm ready to be taxed.
No, okay, cool. So what's been the highlight of your musical career so far?
Hard to say. There's been a lot of ones. The night-based release was definitely one. The Belgium set was another one as well. Hard to say. I try not to get myself too wrapped up in it, because I feel like if I do, it's not going to bode well for me.
Right.
So I just kind of like celebrate my successes quickly, and then I'm like, move on to the next thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is that like something based on what's happened in the past?
No. I just feel like it's. I think a lot of DJs and producers and artists in the scene now have such an ego.
Yeah.
And there's no room for an ego, really. It's like, we're just playing. I'm literally no better than the crowd.
Yeah.
Or the listeners, and you know, neither of these other DJs. Like, we literally just press play on a song, and people just dance. Like, that's it. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing to it. So
Okay.
I think it's just more of a being conscious that I don't want to develop an ego, and I don't think I will. I hope I won't anyway.
Yeah, that's a good mentality to have, to be fair, isn't it? But okay, and talk to me about the lows you've had so far in your musical career.
Lows, I think. Sometimes a lot of lows happen because I get in my own head, like when labels or like my management or like people say like, this is bad. I'm like, yeah, we don't want that. It's easy to get attached to your work, so when people say no, it's like, you're coming for my baby, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you have to learn to detach from it and just realize that it's just one song, and just because it's not coming out doesn't mean it's bad. I think a low point I had was when I took a 2 years off from making music, which is about the end of my last relationship.
Right.
It was quite a toxic relationship, and then I was with him for 2 years.
Yeah.
And a year into it, I found out he was like cheating on me really badly.
Wow.
So at that point I was just creatively like shut down. I was just like, I just don't want to produce anything, don't want to do anything. So I stopped making music, and that was 2017.
Right.
Mid 2017, and then we broke up a year after that. So we broke up like mid 2018, but I still wasn't making music, and I just thought at that point, I was like, it's the end. I've run my course production wise. I'm just gonna carry on DJing because it's fun. And then lockdown hit in 2020, and I wasn't DJing, so I had nothing to do. And I was like, Brandon, you have got like no excuse now not to produce.
Yeah.
You can't make any excuses. So I was like, all right, okay, I'll do it. So I started just messing around back on FL Studio again, and then I fell in love with it like that. And I was like, where have you been all this time? Where have you been? Seriously.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that was quite a low point, but sometimes I look back and I'm like, would I change it? And maybe things would have been differently if like I would have not if I'd have not gone through the hiatus. But I also feel like the hiatus made me appreciate it more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, when it goes away, you appreciate it more when you come back to it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I missed it. It made me miss it. It made me realise like how much I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there was no one in the world to listen to your music, you were the only person on earth, would you still make it?
Yeah, 100%.
Just for yourself?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of songs that I just make for myself now. There's a song that I made recently called "It Always Rains in Manny." Because I was just sat on my couch making it, and it was chucking it down outside. I mean, you know what Manchester's like.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop raining here. And it was chucking it down outside, and I'd finished it, and I'd turned to my housemate. I was looking out the window, like, and I turned to my housemate, Gemma, and I was like, I know what I'm going to name this. She's like, go on, what is it, love? And I was like, "It Always Rains in Manny." Perfect.
Wow.
But I like making music just for myself because I don't ever want my music to become like a product that it's just something to sell.
Yeah.
That doesn't have any like meaning to me. So,
Okay.
but there has to be like a fine balance of making music that is for me and also making music that people like. But I find that it has to be more so. I've found more success and like recognition and positivity when I've just made music that I like. People seem to like that more. I find that is the case with all artists, really.
Yeah.
When you do your own thing, you attract the tribe that likes what you do.
True. The right sort of people who you should attract to.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I would 100% still make music for myself.
Okay.
Because if my rule is if it's not making me dance,
yeah,
I'm not putting it out.
Right.
Or like I won't finish it. Like
that's a good rule.
Yeah, it's got to have the groove that makes me want to get up and start like throwing hands, voguing the house down, doing X, Y, Z. And if it doesn't, then I'm like, I'm not going to finish that.
Well, that makes sense to be fair.
Yeah.
So where do you get your vocals from, or do you ever sing yourself on your own tracks, or do any samples?
I've done a few unreleased stuff with my own vocals. I was just messing around, and I was like, wait, that's actually kind of fun. I like that. And it was nice to have the freedom of not like relying on vocalists to do it.
True.
Whether they'll come out, I don't know. Vocals can be found from anywhere. God, there's been a few producers who've asked me in the past, like, where do you get your vocals? And there's not really one set place. Like, you can get some from Splice, which I don't recommend because everyone uses that.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you can like rip acapellas from YouTube.
Yeah.
You could take a voice note. It could be a singer sending you vocals. Honestly, anywhere. There's not one set place.
Yeah. Well, okay. And do you ever, like, when you get them from YouTube, has that ever red flagged you when you tried to release it to a label or something? Has it ever said, no, you can't use it because it's already out in the open on YouTube?
If I'm ever doing like that where I'm sending stuff to a label, it's always so much of like an obscure sample that it's not copyrighted.
Okay.
Or like it's, you know what I mean? It's
like a very short bit of something really weird that it's not like...
It's never like, I've never like ripped like Sierra goodies and sent it to like a label and been like, hi, this is my song that I just wrote right now. And they're like, oh yeah, I would like that. But people do that. And I think there's a big wave in tech house at the moment of like remixed originals of like old like R&B records, which seems to be doing well. Yeah.
Okay. Do you get onto waves of things, or do you do things yourself?
I would like to say that I do things myself, but I'm absolutely guilty of getting on the waves because I think that comes from my DJing.
Okay.
Because like a DJ, obviously like quite a lot of commercial clubs, commercially house clubs. So I'm constantly looking for what is current and what's new and what people know.
Right.
So that I think that's kind of like drilled into me where like my music will just kind of subconsciously follow the trends.
Okay.
And it's something that my mentors are kind of like on at me at the moment. They're like, you need to focus on making your own sound that's timeless and that people can recognize that that's you. And part of me is like, I think timelessness comes from like experience and the longer you do it.
Yeah.
But also they are 100% right. So I'm 100% guilty of following trends.
Yeah, I suppose though if you're in a club and you know what's on trend, the likeliness is the audience is going to start dancing, aren't they? They're going to be dancing to it, so it makes sense to do that.
Whether it's just taking inspiration from like a popular vocal, or whether it's taking like a set of claps that I've heard in like a chart song, like a clap pattern, and I'm like, I'm going to use that in mine. I think it's just more of a subconscious thing, but I need to stop doing that because it doesn't really breed individuality, does it?
No, well, everyone has their own way, don't they?
Yeah, that's right.
So, is there anything that you would have done differently so far in your music career?
I think towards the beginning, take it more seriously.
Right. Okay.
Because, or would I? I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think if I'd have taken it more serious, it wouldn't have been as fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did it start out as a hobby for you?
Yeah, it definitely started out as a hobby, like, because I just saw that you could make electronic music on your computer, and I was like, well, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to get into that. So it was just kind of something fun at first, but it's nice that it's turned into pretty much my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have to sometimes make sure that I remember that it is my hobby, because I don't really work well doing that kind of like job mindset where it's like
Right.
I've got to show up every day, you know, do the 9 to 5 producer. It just doesn't work for me. So like
Yeah.
I just prefer to be creative when I feel creative and let the spark flow.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, why uni didn't work well for me, because
Okay.
it was just kind of, they were like, you need to meet these deadlines, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Wow.
But then again, I'm like, I remember when I first signed with Who and George,
Yeah.
and they just released their song Better Day with Nile Rodgers, and they messaged me like, do you want to remix it? And this was on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, what's the deadline? And they were like, you've got till Thursday. And I was like, oh, right, okay.
Wow.
So I literally sat at my desk for, I think it was 10 straight hours and just made the full thing. So I do work well to deadlines in some respect.
Yeah.
But I think it was just because I was just being forced to be creative. Yeah.
And does that help you? Does it help having a deadline for you? Or
Sometimes, yeah. I think in more recent years, when I've started taking production more seriously, it has helped. When people say like, you've got to have this finished by this date, I'm like,
Yeah.
I know that I've only got this amount of time
Yeah.
to do it. So it kind of pushes me to go into overdrive to finish it.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
And what does your daily life look like now that you do it full time as a music producer and DJ?
Oh, it's different every day.
Is it?
Like some days I will literally just lay in bed all day, like either on my phone, or I'll just lay. And most of our music is made like in bed or on the couch in like pajamas.
Wow.
I think everyone has this like big image of producers that are in the studio all the time, which some of them are, but
Yeah.
like for me and for a lot of other producers, like we just do it when we're chilling.
Wow.
And I like that, because it doesn't feel as serious then.
Yeah.
It's just I'm in like a comfortable environment, like my joggers, you know, my hair's a mess. I'm just making music. I'm just jamming out at home. That's the best time like to make music for me.
That's good. Okay, because I suppose you can't really force ideas, can you? It's hard to force them.
Yeah, there's been a lot of periods where like I'll go like anywhere from like 2 weeks to like 2 months. It's been without making music.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like messaging my friends, stressing like, I just don't feel creative anymore. I think this is it. Like, I'm not doing it. And they're just like, oh, we're back here again, are we? They're just like, will you just shut up and
Yeah.
just go enjoy your life,
Yeah.
and the creativity will come. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And it does.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of producers have this thing where they feel like it's the be all end all of their life is making music.
Right.
And it's just not the case. Like, there's other facets of my life that I have to like nurture and enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 26. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be producing forever, so I'm not in a rush.
Yeah. Okay. And talking about going out and enjoying yourself, that tends to be for a lot of people Fridays and Saturday nights, weekends, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're DJing, that's obviously at hours when your mates might be out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
How does that affect you?
Well, a lot of my friends are DJs as well,
Okay.
and so we're all like accustomed to working the weekends. So we normally spend Sundays together.
Okay.
But then I'll just see them through the week sometimes. Like, I've got friends who DJ full time. I've got friends who are unemployed. I've
Yeah.
got friends who have a 9 to 5. So I have like different types of friendships. So I can see my friends whenever.
Okay.
But yeah, but even like as far as like going out and enjoying myself, like for me that is DJing. Like, I love making a crowd dance. Like that's like as good as a night out for me.
Yeah.
Night outs are boring now. Like, as you get older, they just don't hit, do they? They
That's
just
true.
really don't hit the same. I'm just like in the club, like, this is boring.
Yeah.
I'd rather be DJing or at home.
Yeah. Talking about nights out, when you do still go nights out and you like listen to other DJs, what are you listening for? Because obviously you've got a different ear for it, haven't you?
Yeah, it's quite. You can't really switch it off. You really can't switch it off. Like, I'll go to like warehouse projects to like rave with my friends, and I'm just there analysing like, oh, that kick sounds really good. Like, that hi-hat was that hi-hat pitched down to semitone? And I'm like, just shut up and enjoy the music, will you? You seriously shut up. And I feel like as well, a lot of like, when you go to the club and if you hear like a DJ mess up, a lot of people will be like, did you hear that? And I'm just so over it now. Like, every DJ messes up. I mess up all the time.
True.
And like, if you mess up in a DJ set, it doesn't matter. Like, the crowd don't care.
No.
They're there to get drunk and like have a good time and dance. They don't care. So
Yeah.
like, I don't care. But as far as like listening for the production side of songs, I'm like, just stop. Just turn it off, will you? I can't ever switch it off, and I wish I could. So just enjoy the music.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to a good DJ set, how would you mark yourself as having done a good DJ set?
Um, I think it's the most important thing is to make sure people are dancing.
Okay.
Whether that's, because there's been sets where I've like played like a commercial bar or club, and I've thought like, I'm going to play for myself. I'm going to go a bit techier. I'm going to go a bit dirtier, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But the crowd are kind of like, we don't really get it. They're
Ah.
bopping, but they don't really get it. But then I think this the mark of a good DJ is making sure the crowd are dancing.
Yeah.
Because like I remember specifically at Manchester Pride this year, just gone.
Oh yeah.
My friend Dulwich, they had this big stage outside of the club called the Brewers.
Yeah.
The big stage outside, and the DJ that was on before him, Beck, she was playing house stuff, but he went into like all of like noughties bangers like S Club, Party in USA,
Oh, okay.
Macarena, and I was, from a music point of view, like a DJ, I was like, oh, this is a nightmare.
Wow.
This is my worst nightmare. But the crowd were, and I mean screaming.
Yeah.
Screaming to every word, and like that's a good DJ. Like it doesn't matter about, he's not bothered about the music he's playing. All that DJ is bothered about is making those people dance, which is what you're there to do.
Yeah, because I've obviously done a few DJ sets, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I like this track, let's play this now. But that's the wrong mentality, isn't it? You play for the crowd rather than for yourself, in a sense.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I mean, I think it's our job as well as DJs to like introduce new music.
Right.
So a formula that I do is like, I'll do like, if I've got like a new song that I've downloaded that I'm like, I want to test that out, I'll probably do like 3-4 commercial songs that everyone knows, get them in my hands, palm of my hands, and I'll be like, how do you feel about this new song? And if they like it, we can go down a bit more experiment.
Yeah.
Or if they don't like it, I'll be like, right, back to the commercial, and then rinse and repeat. But yeah.
Oh. So do you test your new music that way as well?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Always, yeah. And I feel like my sets over the years have become more catered to like my sound as a producer, so it's easier for me to like wriggle in my new stuff.
Okay.
But there is a time and a place for songs, like obviously,
Yeah.
like my Super Freaky Girl remix goes down well in any set,
Yeah.
but like Masochism is a bit more chunkier, that's for like the
Yeah.
dirtier after hours, so it wouldn't go well at like 10 p.m. at the Brewers.
Oh yeah. Okay. And do you have like different clubs that you play at the moment? Do you have like many different residencies going on?
At the moment, yeah, I've got Brewers on a Friday.
Okay.
Then on Saturdays, I'm here, there, and everywhere. I normally do on bar, or it's top floor attic.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll go down to London. At the moment, to be honest, I've got like the least amount of residencies I've ever had, because one of my old residencies, Bloom, the nightclub in Manchester, that shut down recently.
Was it?
Yeah, it shut. Oh, when did that shut down? It was like maybe like early this year.
Wow.
Somewhere around like April, I think, something like that.
Why? What was the reason for it?
There was a big assault case that someone got assaulted, and they apparently had like quite a few strikes on the venue.
Wow.
And the court was like, yeah, we're just shutting it down. So I was like, oh,
Okay. Oh.
that's £1,700 gone, a month gone. Yeah.
Wow.
But then people have been saying to me like, how are you finding it with Bloom clothes? And I've been like, I've lost quite a bit of money, like £1,700 a month.
Yeah.
I've lost quite a bit of money, but I've also never been happier, because I was doing like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then 2 Saturdays a month there on top of my other residencies.
Yeah.
So it was quite taxing, like doing night work.
Yeah.
And like spending your whole day like around your night work and doing that every week. I was like drained, and I was like burnt out. I wasn't producing as much.
Yeah.
So now that I've got less money, I've got less money, but like my bills and stuff are covered. But also like I'm happier. I've got more energy. I see the daytime now. I see the sun, or what sun we have here in Manny. But yeah, I kind of prefer it like this, because it gives me more time in the week to produce as well.
Oh, that's good.
And then I've also got like a bit of money coming in from production now, which is really nice, because it's taken me a long time to get money from producing. Like you don't get any money from Spotify, so
That's So my next question, I suppose, is people go into music accepting that they're not going to be able to make the likeness is that can't make a living from it.
yeah.
What would you say? Is that true, or what is there a way around it that you can make music without obviously doing DJ sets?
It's hard to make money without performing.
Okay.
I think unless you're like a dedicated producer for other people, and you're saying like, well, here's a fee.
Like a ghost producer.
Yeah, ghost producer, or like you're producing for singers,
Yeah.
or like producing for films or soundtracks. Yeah, unless you're doing that kind of stuff, I think it is hard to make money. Like my primary source of music income has always been through DJing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it shouldn't deter you from. I think a lot of people get into making music now because they think it's like that's how you're gonna get rich, and it's like you're not gonna get rich.
No.
You're not gonna get like if you get 15k for a DJ set, your travel's coming out of that, your management fees, your expenses, so you're left with like what, 5k for that.
Yeah.
And that's for big DJs as well. So even big DJs aren't earning as much as you think.
Yeah.
Unless you like Dave Gaydio. How to build a fan base?
Yeah. Big question.
Get in there. I mean, to be fair, in the past year, I've had like a lot more interaction with like people who like my music. Like I've had a lot more messages and a lot more attention from people on social media, which is really nice because I feel like now I'm at a place where I'm like, I'm starting to build like a little community and family here, which is lovely. I would say, do your own thing. Do your own thing. Reply to everyone. Don't just like a message. Reply to everyone. Have conversations with them. Like I would treat my fans as like friends. Like
yeah.
Like I've had a few people message me recently, and then I reply, and they're like, "I can't believe you replied." And I'm like, "Why? I have 5,000 followers. Why?" Yeah. Do your own thing and create a niche. Create like a niche that's specific to you and like your fans. That's the best way to build it. And just be a nice person.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And you mentioned obviously you're commenting on social media and Instagram and stuff. What does that do to your mental health if you're on your phone a lot of the time? Like,
not a good lot. Sometimes I'm like, Brandon, just put your phone down seriously. But like, I'm also remembering that like this is part and parcel of like the job. I'd love to not be on social media. Right. Like it is such a task, but also like it's part of what you do as a music producer and already kind of creative. You have to network, and that's just the way that networking has gone now, straight on social media.
Do you sort of like accept it as that's the way it is, sort of thing from now on?
You have to, yeah. You have to. Like, it is the way it is. I mean, yeah, you just have to accept it, get used to it, or get over it.
Wow. Okay. What have you learned so far? About yourself as a person through doing music and DJing?
I think like, especially more so DJing has given me a lot more confidence in myself. Like I look at like old pictures and videos of like when I was doing DJ sets when I first started, and I'm like, you look like the most awkward person on planet Earth. And now I'm just kind of like, I don't care. I'm just gonna go for it. And I think it's taught me how it has really taught me to be myself. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And coming on to this topic of obviously LGBT, tell me about your experience so far and how it's changed over the years.
I feel like being gay has like been a massive, I would like to say, advantage to my career, because going back on like the fan base thing and building a niche, like the LGBT community is a minority community as it is. So it's been nice to tap into them and get the support of gay people, lesbian, transgender, bisexual people, any under that kind of umbrella. They're always so affectionate and attentive, and I feel like gay people obsess over artists. You know, like Charlie, they're like Charlie XCX, they're obsessed with her, and they go take her to the grave, and I'm like, I want that to happen for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like DJing in like gay clubs and like other big clubs has really helped me accept my sexuality more. Like I wasn't unaccepting of it when I first started DJing, by no means. Like I was like, I'm gay, I'm here, you know, I love myself for it. But now I like that it's part of my identity. Okay. And I feel like in like, especially in like electronic music and house music at the moment, it's all very like straight white dominated. Like it's just every other poster is just like a straight white male, and it's like, yeah, the music is good, but like there's no diversity there at all. Where are the black women? Where are the transgender artists? True. Where are the gay men? Yeah. And that's what like house started in like the 80s by black gay men in Chicago, and it's like, let's take it back to that. Take it back to its roots. It's a bit too heterosexual for me at the moment. Yeah. Yeah. And I think as well, like house music, you can do anything with house. Yeah. You want to do big bassy dubstep sounds over a house beat, you can. You want to do an 8-minute long house beat with just a woman talking for 8 minutes. You can do it. Houses, you can do anything in my house, and I like that I've got the room to put my queerness into like my music, which is something I'm really happy that I can do.
How do you do that?
I think I don't know because a few people have said when I've asked them like how would you describe my music, and they say like queer, and I'm like, I don't know how I do it. I think it's just a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like on pose position, I guess like the vocal like eat the runway. That's
Yeah.
kind of gay, but then there's been songs that I've released that like aren't really gay vocals.
Okay.
But then people will still describe it as queer. So I don't know. I think I just do it subconsciously.
Maybe it's the overall vibe of you, what sounds you use or something. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. Which is a good thing, I guess, because I think I hope that like people would hear it and then know like, oh, that's forward, because they can hear how like queer it is.
Okay.
I guess it's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So obviously, with like Gay Pride in Manchester, for example, that's opened people's eyes to like obviously this perspective who might not have known about it before. Have you what have you had to do with that? And like, have you has that helped you?
What, doing like Manchester Pride?
Yeah.
Yeah, Manchester Pride is some of my favourite gigs to do, like, because everyone who comes there is just up for it. Everyone who goes Pride is just up for a pie and just a celebration, and they're just up for like a big riot, and that's what Pride's about. I like Pride because it, especially on the club side, the clubs always go all out.
Yeah.
Like my residency clubs and like the clubs that I got asked to DJ at, like production is amazing.
Yeah.
It's the like outdoor sets in the summer in the sun. It's just the best vibe ever.
Wow. Okay.
And I feel like at Manchester Pride as well, and like any kind of like big event like that, I always feel like I can go a bit heavier and a bit more experimental and just have fun and not really play it safe.
Yeah.
And they get it. They're there with you, and it's just great.
Yeah. Do you think of like DJing as work? Like, I've got to go to work now.
Yeah, I think because I've done it so long now, I do, but I don't see it as like taxing work. It's like I would describe it as work.
Yeah.
Like if my friends are like, "What, are you free on Friday?" I'm like, "I'm working," which means DJing. But it's not like taxing or bad work. It's like I'm excited work.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go press the buttons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Press the buttons.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So back to early on, you said that if you're wanting to get a DJ set in a club, you would send the manager your mix or whatever.
Yeah.
If there's already a DJ playing that exact sort of music, what is your USP? What differentiates you?
That's the thing. That is the thing. Because when you think about it, if you go to a club, there's a DJ playing.
Yeah.
Which means that every club has always got DJs.
Yeah.
It's never a shortage. There's never. I think I've only ever seen a handful of like, we are looking for a new DJ advertisements. So you do really have to have a USP, whether it's your music selection, your mixing style, how you present yourself. Yeah, you really do have to have a USP.
Yeah.
But I think it's subjective to who you are as a person.
What's your USP?
What is my USP? I don't know. I don't know what they saw in that nervous, shy little gay boy when I was like 20, but they obviously liked it.
Okay.
I would have probably, I don't know. Because at the time, obviously I wasn't producing when I first got my first residency. And I wouldn't have said my song selection was any different to what anyone else was doing, because I was just playing it safe and like catering to the clubs that I wanted to DJ at.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay. Unless it was.
I might ask him.
Yeah.
He said that. I'm like, why did you hire me?
Why did I get this job? Exactly. Okay, that makes sense. And when it comes to reading a crowd as a DJ, if you could explain what reading a crowd is to someone who might be new to doing a residency at a club, what would you describe it as?
You have to know your crowd. You know, you wouldn't go to a pub in Selby and play minimal deep tech. You know what I mean? But then again, you also wouldn't go to like XOYO in London and play Becky Hill.
Right.
So, you know, knowing where you're playing, having an idea of what kind of people are going to be coming in that night. And then you can, when you really get into the nitty gritty, like looking at the people who come in. So, you know, if you've got a group of 8 women, one of them's got a veil on.
Yeah.
And they've got like an inflatable knob. You know what I mean? You know who they are. So hen party.
Okay.
What are a hen party going to want? They're going to want big ABBA remixes. They're going to want big sing along, Mariah Carey, stuff like that. So it's looking at like the demographic of people that are coming in. If there's been clubs I've played that you have like the hen parties in, but then you've also got a gaggle of like twinks who are there. There's about 10 twinks and they're all dressed in like vests and cargos and like shades on, big group of gays, and it's like, right, you have to think of the track that you're going to play next. It needs to get the hen party dancing.
Yeah.
It needs to get the twinks dancing.
Oh.
So then I would think, what would they both like? And then you're like, it's probably something like Nicki Minaj Super Bass.
Yeah.
The twinks like Nicki, and the hen party know it well enough that they can sing along to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but crowd reading is something that comes with it over time.
Yeah.
It's a learned skill.
Yeah. So you've got to make like quick decisions based on the demographic, based on visually seeing, okay, what do you think that person would like, or like group of people would like?
Yeah, definitely. It is quite a quick decision. Like, there's been so many DJ sets where I'm like focusing and people are like chatting my ear off, like, so how have you been? How are you? And I'm like, I'm literally working right now. I've got like 10 seconds to get this song on, so please, not right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but yeah, it's quick decisions, and I think people just see like DJing as like pressing buttons, which it is.
Yeah.
I hold my hands up, it is, but there is more to it. Like you have to read your crowd.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think you have to have a certain personality type to be a DJ, like receptive of how people feel and in the club? You know what I mean? Like very feely. In that sort of sense.
Like empathic.
Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah, I think I've seen DJs who they just have such an ego and they're just there to look good, and they just want to play music for themselves, and the crowd just don't get it, and you can tell like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to have some sort of like ability to read people and know what they want, which again, it just comes over time, really. Okay. I think so anyway. I mean, maybe it is a skill that some are born with, but definitely not me. I've definitely learned it. Like our first DJ sets, I was like, seeing the hen parties, I was like, I'll play Skrillex. They'll like that.
Oh, lovely. Wow. That's fine. Okay, so there'll be people who are learning to DJ and they're too scared to approach a manager of a club because they don't think their technique is good enough.
Yeah.
What would you say about knowing everything there is about what effects you can apply? How often would you use effects? How important is that? How important is a track choice? What would you say?
Subjective. I think your track choice is more important than like effects and stuff. And the ability to like beat match as well. Like a lot of people, I'm not going to slay it using sync because I use sync, but like I use sync because I can beat match, and like I would say my mixing's quite erratic. My mixing's quite erratic and fast. So if I will just sometimes quickly press sync, or sometimes I'll beat match.
Right.
But don't rely on sync. You know what I mean? In terms of effects and stuff, I think that comes with time. Like once you're comfortable enough with CDJs and how they work, then you can start, applying your effects, applying echo, ping pong, reverb, flanger. How would you say it?
I say flanger.
I say flanger.
Do you?
Yeah, it's kind of sexy that, innit? Like the flanger.
Exactly.
But yeah, those come with time, and that I think that your effects and stuff and your techniques is what makes you individual as a DJ.
Right.
But learn the basics first. Learn the basics and then break the basics.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you say it's important to know how to produce as a DJ? Or do you think DJing is enough?
I think people would say that now you need to produce to DJ, but I don't think that's true. I mean, you look at people like DJ EZ.
Yeah.
He's just a DJ.
Right.
Does he produce? Have I just said something really like?
I don't
think he does.
I don't think so. No.
No, I don't think he does. You don't need to, but I think with the way that because the industry now is so oversaturated and there's so many people doing it and so many people wanting to break out as an artist, that a lot of these new DJs are producers.
Right.
So because a lot of them are producers, it's seen as the standard, and it shouldn't really be the standard. Like if you're a great DJ, you can get a crowd pumping. You should be able to build a career off that. Yeah. Okay.
And you've had a few major releases so far. I'm going to call them major because they are quite major. What's the plan going forwards? When would you say enough? When would you say you've made it?
Hard to say because I don't have any like intention to stop making music.
Right.
I think like the journey of an artist is always less black and white than it's painted out to be. So like my favorite producer is Skrillex. I love him.
Yeah.
And you know, you look at like when he put his stuff out on MySpace back in like 2009, then he got signed to Mousetrap and then to Atlantic, and he put out like the Bang Bang EP, Scary Monsters, Nice Sprites, then his Recess album, and then he started producing a lot more for other people, and he kind of went quiet. And now I think he's now finishing his album, and it's coming out whenever. I mean, the Skrillex community is so angry at him because it's like 3 years waiting for this album.
Wow.
I don't start me on that. But it's nice to see like a journey like that isn't so linear. That it's not just like make music, release on a label, make music, release on a label. But you know what I mean? I like that the journey isn't so linear. So maybe in a few years I'll do more production work for other people, take a backseat in my own stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm producing for quite a few of the people at the moment, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who wants to know? I'm taking it like a day at a time, and I'm just a backseat onto how the journey's going, and I'm happy like that. I just like seeing where it goes naturally.
That's cool. So it's not like you're aiming for this goal of playing at Tomorrowland and.
Oh, in terms of like goals like that, yeah. Like if I don't play Warehouse Project soon, I'll implode. Like I want to play there so badly, and I'm really working on that. I do have like little goals. Like I want to be able to leave my residencies at one point. So I'm doing just like production work and DJing like touring sets, which would be great. But it's all part of the journey. It's part of the plot. Like I'm happy seeing how it progresses day in, day out. Yeah, it's nice.
Okay, and when you're midway through producing a track, what are your thoughts? You're like, oh, I need to get this finished, or are you, oh, that sounds cool. Like, what are your thoughts when you're making a track?
It depends on the track, really. Like sometimes I'll start a track and I'll like instantly know like I want that to come out on this label. Yeah. Sometimes I'll make a song and I'm like, that's just for me, I'll bank it. Sometimes I'll make a song and then it'll be like, this is amazing. Then a week later I'll be like, that's horrible. Delete that. So it's subjective with really each track.
Okay. And would you say quality is better than quantity when it comes to releasing music?
Yes, to a certain extent. You don't want to leave, with the way the industry is now, you don't want to leave too big of gaps between your songs. I feel like 6 to 8 weeks between releases, maybe even 8.
Oh wow.
8 to 10 weeks between releases, I would say, is a nice sweet spot, so that you're not oversaturating people that are listening to your music.
Right.
But you're also not waiting too long between releases.
What was the negative of waiting too long between releases?
See, I would say that people might think that it's not a good idea because people will lose interest. But then I don't think that's the case. I mean, like, when I took the 2.5 years off and came back to it, there were people that messaged me like, we're so glad you're back making music. So it's like, that was a long time to wait.
Yeah, 2 years.
Between releases, and there were still people there. So maybe there isn't a period, but I would say like for up and coming producers, like that nice spot between like, we'll say 6 to 10 weeks. Yeah. Anywhere between releases is a nice sweet spot, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's been producers that I know that like they'll release songs like weekly, and you've got to think when you're sending these songs to like radio stations and your fans, and it's like Friday this song and they like that, next Friday another song, it's like, oh wow, and there's song after song after song. Yeah. They don't know what one to like. They don't know what one to like focus on. Right. So let them like one of them, then let it fly for a bit, then put one out. Don't just like bombard people with releases.
Okay, that's interesting.
But then some people might say that like that's the best way to do it. Yeah. So there is genuinely no rules. Yeah. And I wish there were, so people would know how to fucking make it big, but we don't. Yeah.
That's mad. Okay, and when it comes to like releasing a single versus an EP versus an album, I hear it quite a lot. Like I absolutely love Bro Hug.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like really bass house and chunky and everything. They only do like a single at a time, and it's maybe once a month or once every 2 months. Yeah. I get it on my Discover Weekly. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But then there's other people who release like an EP at once. So what would you say is like the benefit versus negative of it?
I think, for me personally, singles are better to start off with,
Right.
because I think it's when, let's say you put out 10 singles over the course of a few years, and then you develop a loyal fan base, like a really loyal fan base, then you can put out a body of work like an EP and be like, here's a body of work, because you know they're going to listen to, like, let's say all 4 or 5 of the tracks. You know they're going to listen to it, but then it's quite popular in like house music and like tech house to put out like 2-track or 3-track EPs,
Yeah.
and they do well. So it's different. But like as far as an album goes, I wouldn't. I don't want to release an album.
Yeah.
I don't want to start working on my album until. That was nice to say. I don't want to start working on my album. I don't want to start working on that until I know I've got like a good loyal fan base like backing me, that I can connect with, because I will be making the album for me and them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like a family, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what I would. But I would say to start off with singles are great, because it's not too much.
Yeah.
But it's also not too little. Like it's a full song.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
One song is all you need. Like we were saying earlier, a craze, do it to it. It's one song.
Yeah.
It's all you need.
It's mad.
Yeah.
Okay. Super. And in terms of obviously when you release that, what have you noticed as in the difference between doing it yourself versus through a label?
It depends on the song. So like when I released Switch with Gothic Kendall and Divina de Campo, we did that independently, and I think that's coming up on like 1.4 million streams now, which is big.
Oh, on Spotify.
Yeah. Mental.
Wow.
And we didn't expect it to blow up that much, but
Yeah.
it was nice because we did that independently, so we get to keep like 100% of the royalties, which is lovely.
Yeah.
But I think that blew up because we got some attention for that on TikTok.
Okay.
So if we hadn't have got that, then I don't think it would have done massively well. It would have done well, I think, because it's Gothic Kendall's like, she's drag race queen.
Yeah.
She's like known.
Yeah.
But the pros of releasing independently is like you get to keep all your royalties, you get to control the entire song. The cons are you don't get as much, you probably won't get it sent to as much DJs or like playlisting.
Yeah.
But there are pros and cons for record label releasing as well. Like the pros are obviously like you get your playlisting, you get it sent to the right DJs, you get put in front of a bigger audience.
Yeah.
But also the cons are you don't get a lot of money. Your masters are sold to a label, so there are pros and cons of each, really.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And in terms of growing your own fan base, where would you recommend people to start on? Like, what platform would you start on?
Like what social media platform?
Yeah, for a fan base.
I would say Instagram, but like, because I get the most connection on Instagram, but like Instagram is a really dying platform. I'm going to admit, it's just they've driven that platform into the ground. But I'm starting to go more towards TikTok now, and I really didn't want to, because I was like, everyone's doing TikTok, it's so cheesy. But then I was like, right, Brandon, there's a lot of people like getting a lot of exposure here on TikTok. You might as well just start doing it. And it doesn't have to be the most basic videos where it's just like, here's how I made this track. So I was like, I had to think like, what is Forbid's brand? Forbid's brand is like sassy, funny, energetic, bouncy house. And I was like, let's do the funny route. Let's make funny videos about music and about my DJ career, about my life as a producer. And that seemed to like do well.
Wow.
So TikTok is a really good platform. I would say start on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to get followers on TikTok as well. You just need like one video to do significantly well, and people will follow you. Like I put a video on of the quickest mashup between RuPaul's Cover Girl and my song Post Position, and it was literally just me doing this, just a switch
on the decks.
Yeah, and it's got like 700,000 views. They loved it, and I was like, this is so weird, but it's just such an easy mashup. But they were all the comments like, how did you do this? Put this on Spotify right now, and I'm like, you want me to get sued? I'm not doing that. But it's so easy to build a following on TikTok, so I would say start there.
Yeah. When did you start on TikTok?
My first video I posted was like, oh god, maybe the start of this year.
Yeah.
Because I just made like a personal TikTok, like that I would just watch videos on and send to my friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, now I'm gonna turn it into a Forby page and just start building, and just started building like that. So like early this year, that's when I started.
Oh wow. Okay. Yes, I think that's it for myself. So
Wrapped
thanks
up.
for coming on for a bit. It's been great to speak to you.
You're welcome.
And yeah, good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No, I'll see you later.